Welcome to all. Long before cities and lights, people gathered just like this. To listen, to learn, and to feel. Now, you can do the same. Through English listening practice that tells stories worth remembering. If you have ever started a new year with 10 goals and quit them all by February, if you have ever felt like your life lacks direction and discipline, no matter how hard you try, if you have ever looked at successful people and wondered what secret system they use that you do not know about, then this video is not just for you, it is meant for you. You are about to learn the exact system that one of the greatest minds in history used every single day for decades to transform himself from a poor printer's son into a scientist, inventor, diplomat, and founding father of a nation. This is not just another motivational talk or a quick fix. This is a practical, step-by-step method that Benjamin Franklin created in his 20s and followed until his death at age 84. And here is the best part. This video will also strengthen your English listening skills naturally because you will hear clear vocabulary at the intermediate level combined with powerful ideas that stick in your memory. So you improve both your language and your life at the same time without splitting your focus. So stay with me until the end, because if you truly apply what I am about to show you, you will not just learn a system, you will become a different person. Let me tell you about a young man in Philadelphia in the year 1726. His name was Benjamin Franklin. He was 20 years old, and he had almost nothing. No money, no status, no connections. He worked in a print shop, setting letters into metal trays for hours every day. His hands were stained with ink, his back hurt from standing, and his future looked ordinary. But Benjamin had a problem. Not a problem with his work, a problem with himself. He noticed that he made the same mistakes over and over again. He would eat too much and feel sluggish. He would talk too much and say things he regretted later. He would waste time on meaningless tasks and then panic when deadlines arrived. He would promise himself to save money, then spend it on things he did not need. He would lose his temper over small annoyances and damage friendships. Sound familiar? Most people live their entire lives like this. They see their flaws. They feel bad about them. They promise to change. And then they repeat the same patterns. But Franklin did something different. He did not just wish to be better. He built a system, and that system changed everything. Here's a brutal truth. You cannot improve what you do not measure. Think about it. If you want to lose weight, you step on a scale. If you want to save money, you check your bank account. If you want to run faster, you time yourself. But when it comes to character, to who you are as a person, most of us just hope we are getting better without ever checking. Franklin understood this. He realized that if he wanted to build a better version of himself, he needed a way to track his progress, like a scientist tracking an experiment. So he created a list. Not a wishful list of dreams, but a precise list of 13 qualities that he believed made a person excellent. He called them virtues. These were not abstract ideas. Each virtue had a clear definition, a simple rule that he could follow or fail each day. He wrote them down in a small book that fit in his pocket. Every evening before bed, he would open that book and ask himself, did I follow the rules today? For every mistake, he would make a small mark next to the virtue he violated. That is it. No guilt, no shame, no long journal entries, just a mark, a simple, honest record of reality. Let me explain why this is so powerful. Imagine your mind is like a garden. Every day, seeds are planted. Some are good seeds, habits that help you grow. Some are weeds, habits that choke your progress. Most people never look at their garden. They just live in it and wonder why it is full of weeds. Franklin decided to inspect his garden every single evening, and here is the key. He did not try to fix everything at once. That is where most people fail. They see 10 problems and attack all 10 at the same time. They burn out in a week. Franklin was smarter. He focused on one virtue per week, just one. For 7 days, that virtue was his main priority. He still tracked all 13, but he gave extra attention to one. After 7 days, he moved to the next virtue. 13 virtues, 13 weeks. Then he would start the cycle again, 4 times per year. He would go through the entire list. This meant that every single virtue got focused attention 4 times annually. But he was never overwhelmed because he only concentrated on one at a time. That is the difference between a system and a wish. A wish says, I want to be better. A system says, I will focus on temperance this week, silence next week, and order the week after that. Now let me show you exactly what those 13 virtues were and what they meant to Franklin. Because this is not just history. This is a blueprint you can use today. Step 1. Learn the 13 virtues and understand why they are in this specific order. Here is what most people never realize. Franklin did not just randomly pick 13 nice-sounding qualities. He arranged them in a deliberate sequence, each one building on the one before it, like steps on a ladder. The first virtue is temperance. The rule is simple. Eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation. In other words, do not eat until you feel heavy and slow. Do not drink alcohol until your mind gets fuzzy. Why is this first? Because temperance gives you clarity and self-control, and you need those to build everything else. If you are stuffed with food or foggy from drinking, you cannot focus on improving anything. Let me give you a practical example. Let us say you come home after work, and you are hungry. You open the fridge and you start eating. You eat the leftovers, then some snacks, then dessert. You keep going until you feel uncomfortably full. Then you sit on the couch and you cannot think clearly. You cannot work on your goals. You cannot even have a good conversation. Your evening is gone. Now imagine this. You come home. You eat a reasonable meal. You stop before you are completely full. And you still have energy. You feel light. Your mind is clear. You can read, you can plan, you can create. That is the power of temperance. It protects your energy and your focus. The second virtue is silence. Speak not, but what may benefit others or yourself. Avoid trifling conversation. This means do not talk just to fill the air. Do not gossip. Do not complain. Do not waste words on meaningless chatter. Why does silence come second? Because once you have a clear mind from temperance, you need to protect it from the noise of useless talk. Franklin noticed that when he talked too much, he said stupid things. He made promises he could not keep, and he created problems that did not exist before. Silence taught him to listen more and speak only when his words added value. Think about your own life. How many times have you said something in anger and regretted it 5 minutes later? How many times have you shared an opinion that nobody asked for and started an argument? Silence is not about being quiet all the time. It is about being intentional with your words. The third virtue is order. Let all your things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. Everything has a place. Every task has a time. This was the hardest virtue for Franklin, and he admitted it in his autobiography. He struggled with order his entire life, but he never stopped trying. Why is order third? Because once you have a clear mind and disciplined speech, you need structure in your external world. Chaos drains energy. When your desk is a mess, when your schedule is random, when you cannot find your keys or your documents, you waste mental power on stupid problems. Order eliminates that waste. Let us say you are working on a project. You sit down at your desk, but you cannot find the notes you wrote yesterday. You spend 10 minutes searching. Then your phone rings, and it is in another room. You walk over, but you forget why you stood up. You remember you get the phone, but now you are distracted. By the time you sit back down, 30 minutes have passed, and you have done nothing. Now imagine this. Everything is in its place. Your notes are in a labeled folder. Your phone is on your desk on silent mode during work hours. You sit down, you know exactly what to do, and you do it. That is order. The fourth virtue is resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. In simple terms, if you decide to do something, do it. No excuses. Why does resolution come forth? Because temperance, silence, and order gave you the foundation. Now you need the will to act. Most people make plans and break them. They say, I will wake up early, and they do not. They say, I will finish this task, and they do not. Every broken promise to yourself weakens your self-trust. Resolution rebuilds that trust. One promise kept at a time. The fifth virtue is frugality. Make no expense but to do good to others or yourself. Waste nothing. Do not spend money on things that do not improve your life or help someone else. Do not waste time, food, resources, or attention. Franklin grew up poor, and he understood that waste is the enemy of progress. Every dollar wasted is a dollar you cannot invest in your future. Every hour wasted is an hour you cannot spend building something meaningful. Frugality does not mean being cheap. It means being smart with your resources. The sixth virtue is industry. Lose no time. Be always employed in something useful. Cut off all unnecessary actions. Industry means work. Constant, purposeful work. Not busy work, not fake productivity, but real work that moves you toward your goals. Franklin believed that time was the most valuable thing a person owned, and wasting it was a sin. If you are scrolling on your phone for an hour, that is an hour you will never get back. If you are sitting in a meeting that has no purpose, that is time stolen from your life. Industry is about defending your time and using it wisely. The seventh virtue is sincerity. Use no hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And if you speak, speak accordingly. Be honest. Do not lie to others, and do not lie to yourself. Say what you mean what you say, and act in alignment with your words. Sincerity builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every strong relationship, whether in business, friendship, or family. The eighth virtue is justice. Wrong none by doing injuries or omitting the benefits that are your duty. Do not harm others, and do not fail to help when it is your responsibility. Justice is about fairness. If someone works for you, pay them fairly. If someone helps you, return the favor. If you make a mistake that hurts someone, fix it. The ninth virtue is moderation. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. Do not overreact. Do not take revenge beyond what is reasonable. Moderation keeps you balanced. When someone wrongs you, it is easy to explode with anger and make the situation worse. Moderation says respond, but do not escalate. The 10th virtue is cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanliness in body, clothes, or habitation. Keep yourself, your clothing, and your living space clean. This is not about being obsessive. It is about respecting yourself and your environment. A clean body and a clean space create a clear mind. The 11th virtue is tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles or at accidents common or unavoidable. Do not let small things ruin your mood. Do not panic over problems you cannot control. Tranquility is inner peace in the face of chaos. The 12th virtue is chastity. Franklin defined this as using physical desires appropriately, not to excess. and not in ways that harm your health or relationships. This virtue is personal and varies by individual values, but the core idea is self-control in intimate matters. The 13th virtue is humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. Stay humble. Do not think you are better than others. Do not brag. Do not show off. Do not let success make you arrogant. Franklin admitted that humility was the hardest for him because he was proud of his achievements, but he worked on it anyway. These 13 virtues are not religious rules or moral lectures. They are practical tools. Each one solves a specific problem that stops people from reaching their potential, and the order matters. You build clarity first, then discipline, then structure, then action, then wisdom. Now that you know the virtues, let me show you exactly how to use them. Step 2. Create your tracking system and commit to daily accountability. Here is a brutal truth. If you do not write it down, it does not exist. You can read about the 13 virtues. You can agree with them. You can say, yes, I want to be like that, and nothing will change. Why? Because your brain is wired to forget. You have good intentions in the morning, but by evening, life has happened. Stress, distractions, emotions, they all push your goals out of your mind. Franklin knew this. That is why he did not rely on memory or motivation. He relied on a system. He created a small book, about the size of his hand, that he carried everywhere. Inside, he drew a simple chart. 7 columns, 1 for each day of the week. 13 rows, 1 for each virtue. Every evening, before he went to sleep, he would review his day and ask himself, did I violate any of these virtues today? If the answer was yes, he made a small dot in the corresponding box. If the answer was no, the box stayed empty. His goal was simple: keep the page as clean as possible. Let me explain why this works on a psychological level. Your brain responds to feedback. When you see a blank page, you feel good. You want to protect that clean record. When you see dots appearing, you feel uncomfortable. That discomfort motivates you to change your behavior. But here is the key. You are not punishing yourself. You are not writing, I am a terrible person, or I failed again. You are just making a mark. It is neutral. It is factual. It is honest. This removes shame and replaces it with data. And data gives you power because you can analyze it and improve. Let me give you a practical example. Let us say you are tracking the virtue of silence this week. On Monday, you have a meeting at work. Someone says something that annoys you, and you snap back with a sarcastic comment. The room gets tense. Later, you feel regret. That evening, you open your book and you make a mark next to silence for Monday. That is it. No drama, no guilt spiral, just a mark. On Tuesday, you are more careful. You notice the same annoying colleague starting to say something, but this time you pause. You take a breath. You choose not to respond. You let it go. That evening, you open your book, and the box for Tuesday stays blank. You feel a small sense of victory. By Friday, you have 3 blank boxes and 2 marked ones. You can see your progress visually. And because silence was your main focus, this week, you are now more aware of when you talk unnecessarily. This awareness alone changes your behavior. Next week, you shift focus to the next virtue, maybe order. But you still track silence. And because you already spent a week paying attention to it, you are better at it than you were before. Over time, the dots decrease. The blank spaces increase. Your character improves. Not through willpower, not through motivation, but through measurement and iteration. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of work. I barely have time to finish my daily tasks. And now I have to track 13 virtues. Every night? Let me tell you something no one talks about. This takes less than 5 minutes. That is all. 5 minutes before bed, you sit down, you think about your day, you mark the boxes, and you are done. Franklin did this for over 50 years. He was one of the busiest people in history. He ran multiple businesses. He conducted scientific experiments. He served as a diplomat in Europe. He helped write the United States Constitution. And yet, every single evening, he found 5 minutes to check his progress. Why? Because he understood that those 5 minutes shaped everything else. If you do not reflect, you do not improve. If you do not track, you repeat the same mistakes forever. So, here is what you do right now. You do not need a fancy journal. You do not need an app. You just need a piece of paper, a notebook, or even a digital document. Draw a grid. 7 columns for the days of the week, 13 rows. For the virtues, start with week 1 and choose your first focus virtue. Maybe you choose temperance like Franklin did. For the next 7 days, pay extra attention to your eating and drinking habits. Do not try to be perfect. Just notice. When you eat past the point of fullness, mark it. When you drink too much coffee or alcohol and feel the negative effects, mark it. Mark it. At the end of the week, look at your chart. How many marks did you make? What patterns do you see? Are you overeating at night? Are you drinking out of stress? Now you have real information, and real information leads to real change. This is one of the most powerful techniques in history, and it is sitting right in front of you, waiting for you to use it. Step 3. Use the morning question and the evening question to frame your entire day. Here is what most people never realize. Franklin did not just track his virtues at night. He designed his entire day around 2 powerful questions. One in the morning, one in the evening. These 2 questions acted like bookends for his day, giving structure and meaning to every hour in between. Every morning when he woke up, before he did anything else, he would ask himself, what good shall I do this day? Not what tasks do I have, not what meetings are scheduled, but what good shall I do? This question forced him to think about contribution, about value, about making his day matter. It shifted his mindset from reactive to intentional. Most people wake up and immediately check their phones. They see emails, messages, notifications, and suddenly their day is shaped by other people's demands. Franklin woke up and decided what his day would be about. He would think about the answer. Maybe today I will finish that project for my client. Maybe today I will help my neighbor fix his roof. Maybe today I will write a letter to my brother. Whatever it was, he chose it. Then, in the evening, before he tracked his virtues, he would ask the second question. What good have I done today? This was not about guilt. It was about reflection. He would review his day honestly. Did I do what I planned to do? Did I contribute something valuable? Did I waste time, or did I use it well? And then he would mark his virtue chart based on that honest assessment. Let me explain why these 2 questions are so powerful. The morning question gives you direction. It prevents you from drifting through your day, reacting to whatever comes at you. The evening question gives you accountability. It prevents you from lying to yourself about how you spent your time. Together, they create a loop of intention and reflection that most people never build. Think about your own life. How often do you start the day without a clear purpose? You wake up, you do things, you go to bed, and when someone asks, what did you do today? You say, I don't know. I was busy. That is the life of someone without a system. Now imagine this. You wake up, you ask yourself, what good shall I do today? And you decide, today I will finish writing that report that has been sitting on my desk for 2 weeks. That becomes your priority. Everything else is secondary. You go through your day and yes, distractions come. Emails arrive, people ask for things, unexpected problems appear. but you keep coming back to your intention. Finish the report. By evening, you sit down and ask, what good have I done today? And you can say, I finished the report. That box is checked. That promise is kept. You mark your virtue chart. You see progress, and you go to sleep with a sense of accomplishment. That is the power of the two questions. They turn vague days into purposeful days. They turn wishful thinking into measurable action. And over time, they build a life of meaning instead of a life of reaction. Now let me show you how Franklin structured his entire day around these principles, because this is where the system becomes even more practical. Step 4. Design your daily schedule to protect your priorities. Franklin was obsessed with time. He believed that time was the raw material of life, and wasting it was the worst mistake a person could make. So he created a daily schedule that protected his most important work and eliminated distractions. He divided his day into blocks, and each block had a purpose. He woke up at 5 in the morning. From 5 to 7, he had his morning routine. This was when he asked, what good shall I do this day? When he planned his day, when he studied, read, or worked on personal projects. This was his time. No one could interrupt it. No one could take it from him. From 8 in the morning until noon, he worked. This was focused, productive work on his business, his experiments, his writing. 4 hours of deep work without distraction. From noon to 1, he took a break. He ate lunch, he read, he reviewed his progress. This was not wasted time. This was recovery time, mental rest, so he could work effectively in the afternoon. From 1 until 5, he worked again. Another 4-hour block of focused effort. From 6 to 9 in the evening, he had dinner. He relaxed. He spent time with friends or family. He played music. This was his personal life, his social time, his joy. From 9 to 10, he reflected. He asked, what good have I done today? He tracked his virtues. He prepared for the next day. At 10, he went to bed. 8 hours of work, 3 hours of personal routine, 2 hours of meals and rest, 1 hour of reflection. That is a balanced, sustainable, productive day. Compare that to the way most people live. They wake up at different times every day. They check their phones immediately and get sucked into other people's agendas. They work in random bursts with constant interruptions. They eat lunch at their desks while scrolling through social media. They stay up late watching videos or reading news that does not matter. They go to bed exhausted but with no sense of accomplishment. Franklin's schedule was not rigid. He adjusted it when necessary, but the structure was always there. Morning routine, focused work, rest, more work, personal time, reflection, sleep. This rhythm protected his energy, his focus, and his progress. Now, I am not saying you need to wake up at 5 or follow his exact schedule. Your life is different. Your responsibilities are different, but the principle remains the same. If you do not design your day, someone else will design it for you. So here's what you do. Look at your current schedule. Where is your deep work time? Where is your reflection time? Where are you wasting hours on things that do not matter? Identify 2 blocks of focused work time in your day. It does not have to be 4 hours like Franklin. Maybe it is 2 hours in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Maybe it is 1 hour before work and 1 hour after dinner. Whatever it is, protect those blocks. Turn off your phone. Close your email. Tell people you are not available. Use that time for your most important work. Then add a morning question and an evening question. 5 minutes in the morning to ask, what good shall I do today? 5 minutes at night to ask, what good have I done today? And to mark your virtue chart. That is 10 minutes total. If you say you do not have 10 minutes, you are lying to yourself. You have 10 minutes. You just spend them scrolling or watching or doing things that do not matter. This is one of the most powerful techniques in history, and you can start using it today. Step 5. Focus on one virtue per week and let the system build momentum. Here is a brutal truth. You cannot change everything at once. Your willpower is limited. Your attention is limited. If you try to be perfect in all 13 virtues from day one, you will burn out in 3 days and quit. Franklin knew this. That is why he focused on one virtue per week. Let me explain how this works in practice. Week 1, your focus virtue is temperance. You are still tracking all 13 virtues every day, but temperance gets your main attention. You think about it in the morning. You watch for it during the day. You reflect on it at night. For 7 days, you are hyper-aware of your eating and drinking habits. You notice when you reach for a second plate of food. You notice when you pour another glass of wine. You notice the patterns. Maybe you realize that you overeat when you are stressed. Maybe you realize that you drink too much coffee in the afternoon and then cannot sleep at night. These insights only come when you pay attention. By the end of week 1, temperance is more automatic. You have practiced it for 7 days. It is not perfect, but it is better than it was. Week 2, you shift focus to silence. Now, silence gets your main attention. But here is the key. You are still tracking temperance. You are still aware of it. And because you spent a whole week focusing on it, you are better at it than before. This is how the system builds momentum. Each week, you add a new focus, but you do not lose the previous ones. They layer on top of each other. By week 13, you have given focused attention to all 13 virtues. Then you start the cycle again. 13 weeks, 4 cycles per year. Every virtue gets 4 weeks of focused attention annually. That is 52 reminders per virtue. Every single year. How can you not improve? Let me give you a practical example. Let us say you are on week 3, and your focus virtue is order. You decide that this week you will organize your workspace. On Monday, you clear your desk. You throw away papers you do not need. You file documents properly. You create a system. On Tuesday, you maintain that system. At the end of the day, you put everything back in its place. On Wednesday, you do the same. By Friday, keeping your desk organized is becoming a habit. It is no longer a struggle. It is just what you do. Next week, you move on to resolution. But your desk stays organized because you built that habit during week. This is the magic of the system. Small improvements repeated consistently compound into massive change over time. Most people want instant transformation. They want to wake up tomorrow as a completely different person. That is not how it works. Real change is slow. It is gradual. It is built through repetition. Franklin followed this system for over 50 years. He did not become perfect. He admitted in his autobiography that he never achieved perfection, but he became better, much better, and that is the goal, not perfection, progress. So here is what you do right now. Choose your first focus virtue. Maybe it is temperance like Franklin. Maybe it is order. If your life feels chaotic, maybe it is industry. If you waste too much time, whatever it is, write it down. For the next 7 days, that virtue is your priority. Think about it every morning. Watch for it during the day. Mark it every night. After 7 days, move to the next one. Do not skip. Do not quit. Just keep going. 1 week at a time. 1 virtue at a time. 1 day at a time. This is how you build a life. Step 6. Adapt the 13 virtues to your own values and goals. Here is something no one talks about. You do not have to use Franklin's exact list. Franklin created his 13 virtues based on what mattered to him in 1726. He was a young man in colonial America, trying to build a business and a reputation. His challenges were specific to his time and place. Your life is different. Your challenges are different. Your values might be different, and that is okay. The power of the system is not in the specific virtues. The power is in the method. Choose qualities you want to develop. Track them daily. Focus on one per week. Repeat the cycle. That is the system. So if Franklin's list does not fit you perfectly, change it. Maybe you want to add patience because you lose your temper too often. Maybe you want to add courage because you avoid difficult conversations. Maybe you want to add gratitude because you focus too much on problems and not enough on blessings. Maybe you want to remove chastity because it does not align with your values. That is your choice. Franklin would not mind. He was a practical man, not a preacher. He created this system for himself, and he would tell you to do the same. But here is my advice. Start with his list. Use it for at least one full cycle, 13 weeks. Why? Because these virtues have been tested for almost 300 years. They work. They cover the most common problems that stop people from reaching their potential. Lack of self-control, lack of discipline, lack of focus, lack of honesty, lack of balance. After 13 weeks, you will understand the system. You will see which virtues matter most to you. You will see which ones you struggle with. Then you can adjust. Add virtues that fit your specific goals. Remove ones that do not resonate. But do not skip the foundation. Learn the system first, then customize it. This is one of the most powerful techniques in history, and it is flexible enough to work for anyone in any era. Franklin used it in the 1700s. You can use it today. Your grandchildren will be able to use it 50 years from now. Why? Because human nature does not change. We still struggle with the same weaknesses. We still want the same things. We still need systems to help us become better. And this system works. Step 7. Share your progress and create accountability through community. Franklin did not keep his system secret. He talked about it with his friends. He shared his struggles and his progress. He created a group called the Junto, a club of young men who met every week to discuss ideas, help each other, and hold each other accountable. They would ask each other questions. What have you read this week? What have you learned? How have you helped someone? What mistakes did you make? This social accountability made the system stronger. When you know that your friends will ask about your progress, you are more likely to follow through. When you share your struggles, you realize you are not alone. When you celebrate small wins together, you build momentum. In the modern world, you can create the same structure. Find one or two people who want to improve themselves. It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague. Tell them about the 13 virtues. Suggest that you do it together. Meet once a week, in person or online. For 30 minutes, share your focus virtue for the week. Talk about what you learned. Admit where you failed. Celebrate where you succeeded. Ask each other the 2 questions. What good shall I do this week? And what good have I done this week? This simple practice will multiply your results. Why? Because humans are social creatures. We perform better when we know someone is watching. We stay committed longer when we have support. We learn faster when we share insights. If you cannot find someone to do this with, join an online community. There are forums, groups, and apps dedicated to self-improvement. Share your progress there. Read about other people's experiences. Learn from their mistakes and victories. But here is the key. Do not just consume. Contribute. Share your own journey. Help others. This creates reciprocal accountability. And reciprocal accountability is one of the most powerful forces for change. Step 8. Measure long-term progress and celebrate the transformation. Here's a brutal truth. Most people quit self-improvement systems because they do not see results fast enough. They try for a week, they do not feel different, and they give up. Franklin understood this danger. That is why he built measurement into the system. The virtue chart was not just for daily tracking. It was for long-term analysis. Every 13 weeks, when he completed a full cycle, he would look back at all his charts. He would compare week 1 to week 13. He would see patterns. He would see progress. Maybe in week 1, he had 12 marks for temperance, but in week 13, he only had 3. That is measurable improvement. That is proof that the system works, and that proof motivated him to keep going. You need to do the same. At the end of your first 13-week cycle, sit down and review all your charts. Do not judge yourself. Do not feel guilty. Just look at the data. Ask yourself these questions. Which virtue improved the most? Which virtue is still my biggest challenge? What patterns do I see? Do I fail more on certain days of the week? Do I struggle more when I am stressed, tired, or busy? What have I learned about myself? Then celebrate. Not because you are perfect, but because you completed 13 weeks of intentional self-improvement. Most people do not do that. Most people drift through life without ever looking at themselves honestly. You did something different. You measured, you tracked, you reflected, you grew. That deserves recognition. Then start the cycle again. 13 more weeks. What's my concern? Focus on the same virtues, or adjust the list based on what you learned. Keep going. After 1 year, 4 full cycles, you will be a different person. Not perfect, but better. More disciplined, more focused, more intentional, more in control of yourself. After 5 years, the virtues will be automatic. You will not need to track them anymore, because they will be part of who you are. That is the transformation Franklin achieved. That is the transformation available to you. Let me tell you what happened to that young man in Philadelphia. Benjamin Franklin followed his system for decades. He never became perfect. He admitted that order was always difficult for him. He admitted that humility was a constant struggle because he was proud of his achievements. But he kept tracking, he kept trying, he kept improving, and over time, he became one of the most respected men in the world. He invented the lightning rod, bifocal glasses, and the Franklin stove. He founded libraries, hospitals, and universities. He helped write the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. He served as ambassador to France and helped secure the alliance that won the American Revolution. He died at age 84, surrounded by loved ones, having lived a life of purpose, contribution, and meaning. And when people asked him how he achieved so much, he pointed to his little book, the book with 13 virtues and a grid of marks. He said, "This system taught me who I wanted to be, and then it helped me become that person. One day at a time, one virtue at a time, one mark at a time." That system is still here. It is still available. It is sitting in front of you right now, waiting for you to use it. You do not need permission. You do not need special tools. You just need a piece of paper, a pen, and the decision to start. So here is my challenge to you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, draw your first virtue chart. 7 columns, 13 rows. Choose your first focus virtue. Ask yourself, what good have I done today? And mark your chart honestly. Tomorrow morning, ask yourself, what good shall I do today? And choose one intentional action. Do that for 7 days. Then move to the next virtue. Do that for 13 weeks. Then look back and see how far you have come. Because if you do this, if you truly commit to this system, you will not just learn about Benjamin Franklin. You will become like Benjamin, not in fame or achievement, but in character, in discipline, in intentionality, in the ability to shape yourself instead of being shaped by circumstance. And that is the greatest skill a human being can develop. The ability to decide who you want to be, and then become that person through consistent, measured, daily action. This is not just a history lesson. This is not just a language practice. This is a blueprint for building a life. So take it, use it, and let me know how it changes you. If this video helped you see yourself and your potential more clearly, then do not just watch and forget. Subscribe to this channel right now, because we are not here to entertain you. We are here to equip you with the tools that the greatest minds in history used to build extraordinary lives. Your transformation starts today. Let's go.